So first thing that I would like to talk to you about is completing online registration. Registration is two parts. So first you will visit this website, and I will take you to the website in just a minute, and you will go through a process. It takes about 20 minutes and is best done from a laptop or a computer. You can do it from your phone, but there's several questions and you're putting in information about your child. So they're going to ask like who, like where you live, who is on the list to be able to pick up your child, and you'll need to put in names and phone numbers, your doctor's name, the address where your doctor is, phone number, those types of things. And so it does seem to be a little bit easier to do it on a computer. Each of our elementary schools in Washoe County have a computer that is available to use for this process. So we'll talk a little bit about how to find out where or which school your child's going to go to. And then if you want access to a computer, you could always visit the school, and they have them available anytime during the week from about 9 to 3 o'clock for you to use for this process. But you'll first register online and go through that 20-minute process where you're putting in information in the computer. And then you will visit your child's school, or you can use the computer at your child's school to complete that online process. And you'll take your documents to your child's school. So the documents that you need are your child's birth certificate, their immunization records, and proof of residence. So you can take a bill or anything with your name on it to show that you live within that area of school. So I'll take you right now to the website, and please go ahead and unmute yourself if you have questions. This is important that we understand this process. So can you see the Washoe County School District webpage at this time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is the first step. So it's a two-step process. First step is online registration. So you will go to this website, and if you don't mind putting that link in the chat, that would be great. Or if you would like me to do that, I can do that as well.
It's in the chat already.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I don't have my chat up, so thank you for sharing that. So right here in the middle of the page is where you're going to see kindergarten and new to Washoe County School District online registration. So you will click on that, and then you will click on what year you're registering for. And then this is where you start to fill in the information. And you begin the registration, and then it's a process of entering all the information in. So this is the piece that is easiest to do on a computer or laptop. And you can also go to a school and use their computer if that is the easiest. So that's the first step. Any questions on that first step? Okay, and you'll let me know if there's anything in the chat that we need to address, right?
Yes, I will let you know.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so what you have second is to bring in those three records: birth certificate, immunization records, and proof of residency. And so those are the three documents, once you complete the online part, that you will take to the school and help to finish the registration process. You're not completely finished with the process until you take those three pieces of information into the school secretary. And when you go to take it to the school secretary, they are going to set up an appointment with you. And that appointment is an appointment that will happen in August. And so these are just a couple of the dates that are really important. I'll talk about each one. So you will get a 1-hour appointment during the week of August 14th through the 18th. And it says here testing week, but it's not scary. It's not like a typical what we would consider a test. It's really a 1-hour appointment where you're going to start to build relationships with your child's school. So you'll get to meet the office staff, you'll have the opportunity to meet your child's teacher, to get to see the school, possibly where your child's going to have lunch or the playground, their classroom. And then the teacher is going to ask your child some questions. And this is to help the teacher know what your child already knows so that they can support your child. But your child doesn't need to know all of this information when they come in for this appointment in August. Some of the questions that they're going to be asked is if they can say the alphabet, if they can count items, if they know how to write their name, if they know some of the shapes. But again, these are things that your child needs to know at the end of kindergarten. And so if they don't know it coming in, it is okay. There's an opportunity for the teacher to support your child throughout the year. And so even though it says test, it's really just to gain information about your child and to build the relationships. So that is what that 1 hour appointment is going to be. And it could be any time during that first week, August 14th through the 18th. So your child will only come for 1 hour during that week. The other thing that may happen during that week is your school may invite you to an event where you get to meet other children, and your child gets to meet other children in their classroom and other families. And so usually there's like a kickoff event or something really fun so that the whole class can come together and meet each other. And that happens during August 14th through the 18th. Typically it happens toward the end of the week. And then the very first day of school is August 21st. So those are some really important dates to understand and have in your calendar. There's a couple of things I want to share with you. And it'll just take me a second to pull it up.
And
Okay.
Casey, we also have a question.
Oh,
Somebody's
perfect.
asking, my daughter is 4 years old. She will be 5 years old this year on November 8th. When I have to enroll her in kindergarten?
So it'll be the following year. She will attend kindergarten in 2024, 2025. So she'll do 1 more year in pre-K next year, and then the following year in August of the following year. That's a great question. And I would like to point out something along those lines. Let's see where it tells me. There is an age requirement for kindergarten, and I'm not seeing it right on here, but just so you know, for right now, kids need to be 5 before August 14th. And so this possibly could change. State law could change over the summer on us. But right now, as the law stands, the Nevada law says that in order for kids to go to kindergarten, they need to be 5 before August 14th. Does anyone have birthdays right around there, or is everybody going to be 5 before August 14th? Okay. Any feedback in the chat on that?
No.
Okay, so just wanted to make sure, because if the law changes.
We do have one. We just got one. One of the students is going to be 5 on July 31st.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect. So the law may change to August 1st, that a child has to be 5 before August 1st. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody here is eligible for kindergarten, in our space, besides the one that we were just talking to, whose birthday is in November. But if July birthday is going to be just fine. So they would be allowed to go to kindergarten in 2023-24. So looks like we're all set there.
Can I have one question. This is Kristen. Now that you said they might change it to August 1st, my daughter's her birthday is August 8th.
So exactly. That's why I wanted to make sure. This is an issue right now where our state legislature is the one that creates these laws. And then our school district, Washoe County School District, has to follow the laws that this legislative process puts into action. And so right now there is a bill that is to change kindergarten enrollment from the very first day of school, which for us would be the child would need to be 5 before August 14th. And what the bill says is they're trying to move it to August 1st. So Kristen, your daughter would be in this weird place where we're waiting for the law. We're really waiting for the legislators to decide on what the law is going to be. And then we're waiting to see if the State Department of Education puts that into place for next school year. And so we do not know yet, but Kristen, you're in that sticky situation where if the law changes to August 1st, we would want to make sure that the state will allow us to have a grace period and still allow your child to go to kindergarten. But there is a slight chance, I want to be real honest with you, that this is not a Washoe County decision. This is a decision happening at the state level. And because it's law, we would have to follow whatever the law becomes. And so, Kristen, if you want to talk more about that, I'm happy to, maybe we can put my email address in the chat so that we can follow up on that. But it is a very complicated system right now because we don't know what the state law is going to be. And the 8th is right there beyond that August 1st date. So
Thank you.
yeah, there is a chance I'd like to talk more about, because there is a chance that she will need to do pre-K for 1 more year. Okay, so the other thing that I was going to show you here is if you're not sure where your zone school is, on that same online registration web page here, about middle of the way, I showed you where it said kindergarten and new to Washoe County online registration. That's where you register. But a little bit down here, it says to find out your zone school. You're going to click here and enter your home address. So you would click on that link. And then at the very top, it's a little tricky to see. At the very top here, it's the top left-hand corner. That's where you would put in your address, and then you would click search. And let me put in, let's see. Okay, so this is an example. It tells me what elementary school we would be zoned for. And then it tells me here, okay, my elementary school is the one that I am closest to. My address where I'm zoned for is Beck Elementary School. So now I know that that's the school when I take my paperwork that I'm going to go visit, and that's the school that my child's going to go to. Are there any questions on figuring out where your child is going to go for kindergarten and how to find that school?
And just to let you know, Casey, your contact information, your email is on the chat. If everybody is interested in having that email, it's on the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Here below is information. If you need to know how to, there's 3 records: birth certificate, immunization records, and your a current bill to show proof of residency where you live. Here's information if you need to know how to find your immunization records. It's on this webpage as well, and it gives you links for doing that. And then everything is below in Spanish. Any questions on this process before we move on? Okay. All right. And again, feel free to unmute yourself too. So here are some other important dates. And we have that first week of screening or testing where you get to meet the family or the teacher gets to meet you. August 21st is when they will come, your child will go to kindergarten for the very first time, and they will stay without you all day long. So each school's on a different schedule. Some schools start at 8:30, some start at 9, some start at 9:30. So you want to ask the secretary when you go to visit the school what time school starts, but they are full day programs. So making sure that you'll do drop off or bus, however you're going to transport, and then they will stay for the entire part of the day. Then we have a few more dates here, and I'm going to, actually, I want to show you. You do have, if you picked up a packet, I'm not sure how many of you were able to do that, but there is a balanced calendar in that packet that you may have picked up. It looks like this. And I will share that with you as well, so you can see it on my screen. And this is going to go over all of the important dates. So we just talked about this week here, and let me make it just a little, let's see if I can make it a little bigger. Is that a little easier to see, I'm hoping?
Yeah, it's bigger.
Okay, so this is for school year of 23-24, 2023-2024. This is the week where you have the 1 hour appointment to get to know the family. This is the day, the August 21st, that school starts. And so that's the first day that your child goes to school all day long. Then we have a balanced calendar, which means that we have breaks throughout the year. And those are shaded in gray. So the first break you'll see is this fall break, and it is October 2nd through the 6th. And when it's shaded, it means the child is not in school. So you can see all the Saturdays and Sundays are shaded. We have Labor Day here in September. There's no school on that day. So this is really important to have handy to know the schedule for the year and what days your child's going to be in school and what days they are going to be out of school. And then you can see here this October 9th, that is called a professional learning day for our teachers. And so it is a Monday that typically will be in school, but we're not. So I wanted to point that out in the calendar just so you can expect for when your child is not going to be in school. We also have here, like you can see, that would be for Nevada Day. We have a day where kids are not in school. We also have a few days near this Thanksgiving break where kids are not in school. We have 2 weeks in December. So starting December 25th for our winter break, going all the way through January. Actually, it's January 9th is when they come back. So that 8th is a teacher professional development day. So I want you to be really aware of these breaks so you can plan ahead. 15th is a day with no school, as well as February 19th. And that is for President's Day. We have 2 weeks in spring. So March 25th through April 5th, those are out of school times. And then the last day of school you'll see is scheduled for June 7th, as long as we don't have any what's called contingency days. So snow days, those kinds of things. We could go all the way up until June 12th. Of 2024. So this is a little overview of our schedule and for the whole year. You can also see, and it doesn't necessarily indicate it in here, but every Wednesday is what's considered an early release day. So that means that your child will get out of school 45 minutes early. And so they will get out at, let's say that school typically gets out at 3:30. On every Wednesday, release time is 2:45. So it's 45 minutes early. And this is so that teachers can work together to ensure that your child is getting the best education we can provide. So another example, if your child typically gets out at 3 on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, they get out at 2:15. If your child gets out at 2:30, typically on every Wednesday, they would get out at 1:45. So just want you to be aware of that schedule that is a little bit different. And that is every single Wednesday, the early release happens. So I'm going to stop right there and see if you have any questions about our calendar? Okay. And we can always come back if a question comes up and you didn't have the question earlier. So here is our attendance policy. And we ask that if your child is sick and possibly contagious, that you do keep your child home. We try to make sure that other kids are not exposed. We want kids in school as much as they can possibly be. Kindergarten is a critical grade for later success. So it's really important that your child is at school on time. And again, each school starts at a different time. So you want to ask your child's school what time they start. And we also want to make sure that that they are there as much as possible because it is so critical. So if your child is ill or has a reason to be out of school for a day or a few days, we ask that you call the school and let them know right away so that they can inform the teacher. I know that our teachers and all of our classrooms really miss kids when they're gone. So it's important to stay connected with the school. And if they'll mark it if it's a exempt absence, which would be like an illness or family business, those types of things. If your child is absent for more than 10% of the year, they're considered chronically absent. So if we have 180 days of school, if your child misses 18 days out of that 180 across the whole year, that is considered chronically absent and is very concerning because they are missing critical understanding and content to lead them into later success for first grade and beyond. And so kindergarten is very fun and joyful, and they will be playing, but they are learning so much. So if your child is not sick or does not have a reason to be out of the building, we really ask that you put effort and energy into getting them there on time and that they attend every day possible. Any questions on those absences? Okay. And if there is something that is happening, let's say that you're having a hard time transporting your child or anything out of the ordinary, please reach out to the schools. The school is there to help you. So if you are having a transportation issue, let us help you problem solve that and find a way to support you in getting your child to school. So feel free to reach out. We are partners in this process. So if something's going on, we would love to help through that process and be a team. Okay, so I've already talked a little bit about the various start and end times. They differ between schools. Also, our Wednesdays minimum day schedule, where it's 45 minutes early every Wednesday. And each school has different opportunities for before and after school programs. So when you go to take your paperwork in as part of registration process, if you are needing after or before school care, ask the secretary at that time to help explain what is available and the costs and the different options. And they have usually packets of information they can give you, and they can talk to you about your different options. But each school it varies, it really differs. So you want to talk to your school about that. Also, some schools serve breakfast and some schools do not serve breakfast. So you're going to want to ask if you are a school that will serve breakfast to your child and lunch as well. I'm not sure right now. This school year, lunch is provided free of charge to all families. That happened last year and again this year. I do not know if that's happening again. I don't know if anyone on the call has that information or not, but there is lunch options. I'm just not sure if it's free of charge or if it does cost, but there is a process to apply for free or reduced lunch if it's not free to all. And so that is something that you could start the conversation with the school and find out more information. And then also some schools require uniforms, and a great conversation to have with your school is to ask, what is the uniform if they do have a uniform? And usually the school is able to help If you need support in purchasing uniforms, they also can tell you where to get those and the colors and where to go and all of that. Transportation, some schools have busing systems and your address would qualify to receive busing, and some schools do not, or you may not be in one of those areas where your child requires busing. So transportation is another great conversation that you will have with your child's school secretary. Any questions on anything that is site specific? So I may not have the exact information, but I can connect you with your school, or many of our schools do have web pages. That's another great place to go. You can always call the school or visit their web page. Once you know what school your child's going to, you can look up their web page, and these are things that a lot of times will be listed right on their home web page.
Casey, we have a question in the chat. Can you
Perfect.
clarify the first day of school? The 23-24 calendar shows the 14th, but the presentation said the 21st.
Yes, so those days, the 14th through the 18th, those are considered kindergarten days, but your child's not in school during that week. You just have the 1 hour appointment. So I'm glad you clarified. That is a little bit confusing. During the 14th through the 18th, you go to school for the 1 hour appointment and possibly the family event, like a kickstart to kindergarten, where you meet other families and other children. But the first day that your child will come and stay at school by themselves all day long is that August 21st date. So great clarification. And during August 14th through the 18th, during screening week and that really fun family activity or event, you would stay with your child during those times because it's such a short period of time. But the first day of school, the 21st of August, is when your child would then be independent on their own all day long at the school. And that's the first day where kids start to come all day and then continue for the rest of the calendar. Please let me know if that's not clear. It is a little bit confusing, so I'd love to help explain that if it's not.
I have a question.
Good.
What is the earliest you can enroll for kindergarten, and what is the deadline, the last day where you can enroll your child
Great.
kindergarten?
So that first step, online registration, is already open. So you can do
Okay.
that anytime now. And then, and actually, I mean, we're public education. And so we accept registration all the way. We have some families that move into our area in the middle of the year, and they do the registration process as soon as they get into, Washoe County, this area. But we would appreciate that if your child is starting school in August with us, that you have that registration process completed by August. It would be because you want to go in and you want to get that appointment where your child meets the teacher. You want your child to start school on the very first day, on the 21st. And so while we don't turn off registration process, it's available anytime to families, we would ask that the sooner the better, so we can prepare and get excited to meet your child and have an understanding of how many kids are going to be in your child's class. The earlier we do this, the more prepared the school can be for their kindergarten classrooms. So it's open right now, and you can take your paperwork to the school starting now. We do have, I'm glad you asked, that we have our spring break is coming up in a couple of weeks, and I can pull it up on my calendar here. Spring break would start on the 20th. And so many of our schools will not be open. So if you go visit anytime during spring break, you may go and the doors are locked. So just kind of warning you that if you want to take your paperwork to your child's school, don't do it during the week of March 20th through March 31st. You can do it now, this week or next, or after starting in April, just to ensure that your child's school is available and you don't, go there and then nobody is there to take your paperwork.
And Casey, just for people that is unable to look at the chat, they're asking what's the website, if you can repeat that again, the website for enrollment.
Yes, great. So let me share my screen and let me actually take you to a place that I think would be even better. So instead of giving you like a really long website, so what I actually, if this was me and I was doing it, I would just type in this bar at the top, and I hope you can see me doing this. I'm putting in Washoe County School District. So I will type that in, and then the home page shows up. So the next step is I click right on that, and I come here. And typically there is I'm not seeing it though. Okay, I just wanted to see if
I don't think they have it yet.
They don't have it
but
yet, but that's okay.
They're
And
going to.
Yep. So what I would do is once you get here to the general website, typically right here on the very front, it would take us to like kindergarten registration. And I bet it's coming very soon. I don't see it yet. But if you don't see that pop up, there's this little magnifying glass in the top right-hand corner. So from here, you click on that. And then I would put in kindergarten registration. So I'm hoping that everybody is able to see that I'm on the web page and I just typed in kindergarten registration, and then I click search for the magnifying glass. And then there you go. It's the first item here that says kindergarten registration. You'll click on that, and that takes you directly to this page where I was showing you how you can register. And then here is please visit the site. And I would choose the one that says Kinder specifically, because it takes you to the page that we were just on. So it is a 3 or 4 click process, but definitely that's one way to get there. Would
Also,
you like
another
me to show
question.
you? Go ahead.
Where do I find out what our child is zoned for, and where do we get the paperwork?
Okay, so here is that kindergarten registration page that I was showing you. And then you will go down where it says kindergarten registration. And then it does have kindergarten and new Washoe County online registration. So that's where you're going to click to do the online registration. If you keep going down here, it gives you all of these great links. So if you're looking for how to do immunization record, you can click on this link here, and if you click on it, it basically shows you where you can look up your child's immunization record and search for it there. If on that page, if you're not sure where your child goes, it's about halfway down where it says use this link. And that was the link that I was showing, where you click on that link, and then in the top left-hand corner right here is where you enter in your address and you search. And the other thing that you can do is your child's school is going to, and then it shows you where, like, this is your elementary school. It would show you based on your address, but the school secretary is wonderful about helping through this process. So obviously you would need to know where you're zoned for, but even if you're not sure and you say, gosh, this looks like a really close school to where I live, you can go into that school and say, is this the right school, or is there another school that my child's going to go to? And they will look it up for you. And so feel free to visit any of our schools, and we will help you step by step with how to do this. So I know that it seems overwhelming and there's lots of steps, But if you stop into any school in your area, the secretary right there in the office can really guide you step by step on how to do this.
And I also just put a link directly to the map to the school zones in case anybody is interested. And also in the chat, we have another question. If my child is currently at Bernice Matthews, are they also able to start kindergarten there? They're there for the EHS.
So sometimes you would want to talk to Matthews and the administration and your child's current preschool teacher, because sometimes they go to a school that can support your pre-K child, but is not the closest school, the school you're zoned for. And so talk to your child's pre-K teacher and they will say, oh, here's where your child's going to go for next year. So that's a great conversation to have at Bernice Matthews, and just to make sure, because each case is a little different. Sometimes they can continue going to kindergarten right at Matthews, especially if it's your zone school. But if it's not, it's good to know where you're going to go and to start that conversation now. And then was there a second part of that that I missed that you had asked for as well?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, I wasn't sure if there was one more question. I think we have someone's hand is raised, and so feel free to unmute yourself, and thank you for your question.
Hi, my name is Lanika Edwards. I actually was the one that asked about the last question. She like I said, she goes to early head start at Bernice Matthews. But she also Jesus, in the midst of my question, I just lost it. I'm so sorry.
Well, maybe if she's receiving any special supports or services, we want to make sure that we find the very best placement. Feel free to unmute anytime though.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So is the deferments still available? Because I know when I was going into school, I was originally zoned for Sparks, but I ended up going to Dilworth instead. Is there a way I can get a deferment if I want her to specifically go to Bernice Matthews?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
you would talk to so obviously, because your child's in pre-K and you want to continue in that same environment, this is a great conversation to have with your child's teacher. And then
Okay.
if you want, it's called a variance, right?
Variance. Okay. Yeah.
So I remember, and actually my child was on a variance. So if there is a school that works better for you, maybe like in our situation, my daughter before and after school went to my dad's house. And so
yeah, that's kind of the
closest
same
to my
situation I'm in. Yeah.
Exactly. So you want to explain the situation and why you would prefer to be on a variance for a school outside of your zone. And then the school will look at their current population and the numbers. Some schools are able to take variances and some schools are already crowded. They already have the amount of kids that for each class, and so don't receive variances. So just start the conversation with your daughter's teacher. We do have that in place, but it is something that is decided at the school level, and the principal has to be involved in that process.
Yeah, I just want to make it easier for her transition too, because all her friends are there, and so I don't want her to be separated.
Yep, and that's really important, right? We want our kids to feel like they are safe at school, and knowing friends and knowing the routines, having the same lunchroom, all of those things do contribute. And so bring that up when you have those conversations.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else before we move on and we talk a little bit more about what your child's going to learn in kindergarten? Okay, so, and again, feel free to unmute anytime, but we do believe in Washoe County that children their brain is wired to learn naturally. And so we want to foster that creativity, curiosity. A 5-year-old naturally wants to play. I'm sure when you first introduced your children at the beginning of this time together, we talked about so many playful things that they love to do. And we want to continue to have your child enjoy school and feel joyful at school. And so it is important to recognize that your child's coming to kindergarten already knowing so much, and they are wired to learn. And so we believe all children can learn, and that they learn best when it is meaningful. We want to make sure that kids see the connection, and that they're not just sitting in desks and listening to a teacher, but they're interacting with each other and they're learning from each other. We know that kids learn best from other friends. And so we want to create this environment where they have the optimal environment to learn. We like to give them voice and choice. So we believe it's important to develop their ability to regulate their emotions. That's called their executive function. So we want to build these skills so that they can be a better friend, so that they, can develop patience and turn taking and all of that. So we're going to give them lots of opportunities to work with others and to learn through that opportunity of being a friend. And that's that last part of being a community of learners. So they really develop this culture and this community where they help each other, and they learn best by talking. So the person doing the talking is the person doing the most learning. So we really want our kindergarten classes to be a place where children have the opportunity to express themselves and to talk. And so you have probably seen this in your child's pre-K program. Learning should not look that different from pre-kindergarten to kindergarten. And so you can expect that your child's going to be learning different content areas. So they're going to learn science, they're going to learn math, art, reading, music, technology, some of those social skills and problem solving skills that I was just explaining. There should be movement. Our 5-year-olds, as you know, when they're at home with you, they have lots of energy. And so it's important to develop them physically, whether it's hopping or jumping, taking big steps, little steps, going up and down stairs, balancing. All of those things are really, really important. So if you give those experiences to your child at home, we're also going to give the experiences to your child at school. And then also fine motor. And you can support us at home with this as well. So cutting is a skill that takes practice. So the more opportunities that your child has with cutting with child appropriate scissors, the better. It is a skill to learn how to hold paper in one hand and cut with the other. It's a skill learning how to, put your fingers in appropriately with the scissors. If your child's left-handed, we want to facilitate left-handed cutting practice. We never want to switch. If they naturally are leaning towards writing with their left hand, we want to honor that and we want to support them with that. And so practice with writing, practice to build your child's finger skills. So Play-Doh is really good with this one. Lots of different opportunities, so that like tweezers, so that they can start to develop the muscles in their hand that will then help them to be able to hold a pencil, to write. Something that the teachers really appreciate as far as practicing at home is how to write your child's name. When you have a classroom full of children and they are, let's say, doing maybe it's their math journal, and we're collecting those math journals and they need to write their name so we know whose math journal belongs to which child. And so it's important for them to know how to write their names. So that's something if they don't know how to do already, that would be really helpful if you could start to help them write their name. So these are just some of the experiences that they will have in kindergarten. I already started to talk about preparing your child emotionally. It is different, right? They may be going to the school for the first time. They may not know their friends in their classroom yet. And so we want to talk about this with our child. We want to prepare them as much as possible. One of the ways to do this is during that appointment, the 1 hour appointment I talked about between August 14th and the 18th, is to let your child visit the classroom, meet the teacher, go on a classroom tour, bring your child to their school. Every time that you go by it, whether you're walking or driving, talk to them. This is going to be your school. This is where you're going to be next year. All of those things are really important, as well as if your child has a concern. I think it's really important to start answering those questions. You may even reach out to your child's school next year and say, is there another family that may want to meet me at the park before school starts, so that, during the summer we can do some play dates and they could start to get to know each other. So the first day of school, they know a couple of kids in the class. You can facilitate this getting to know other kids in the class before school even starts, and kids tend to feel much safer when they recognize somebody before going to school. Other things are making sure that you have a routine for your child. So a set bedtime, a set routine of this is what we do at bedtime, making sure that they get enough sleep at night so that they are going to bed early enough and they feel well rested. If breakfast is not served at the school, making sure that they have something to sustain them until snack time at school or until lunchtime, because we know that a child that is well rested and well fed is able to learn better, and they feel more regulated as far as their emotions. Even us as adults, when we don't get breakfast or when we don't get a good night's sleep, it really does impact our ability to learn and to work well with others. Also, independence is important. So learning how to write their name, learning how to put their jacket on, possibly even the fine motor skills, zipping their jacket up, putting their shoes on. You could start to work on tying shoes, things like that. Something that your kindergarten teacher would really appreciate is, does your child know how to go to the bathroom independently? So can they wipe themselves? Can they flush the toilet on their own? Are they able to, get dressed again, like take their clothes off and get dressed, so that after they go to the bathroom, they know how to zip their pants or buckle their pants or snap their pants, washing hands appropriately. All of these things you can do at home over the summer to prepare your child for independence so that they are responsible for doing this on their own. They also need to know when they have to go to the bathroom that they'll ask their teacher, may I go to the bathroom? But they need to be able to voice this need. And so the teacher's not going to know. The teacher will give opportunities for kids to go to the bathroom. But if a child needs to go and it's not that right opportunity, to be able to say, I need to go, so that they don't have an accident. All of those things are really important to get your child ready for school. And also taking kindergarten serious. So this is a year where so much learning is happening, and it will really impact the success of the later grades into first grade. Your child's going to learn beginning reading skills and math skills, addition, subtraction, in kindergarten. And so we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to learn that. And we already talked about routines. The last piece I wanted to say is your child will be in a lunchroom with several other kids. And so opening up the lunch packets, the ketchup, knowing how to eat a little apple, those types of things, practicing ahead of time is going to be so important, so that when your child does sit down, they're not waiting for a teacher to come over to help them get started eating, but they know how to unwrap things and to get started. So any questions on how you can prepare your child or what your child may experience in kindergarten? I feel like that was a lot. Okay. If I didn't give you enough time,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Casey, there is
yes,
one.
please.
Are
Yeah, I
naps
was
still
gonna ask.
included in kindergarten?
Sorry, what was that?
Naps.
No.
Are naps still included?
So great question. I do not believe they're going to get a nap, like every child naps at a certain time. However, there should be times throughout the day that are very calm. Typically, there's I mean, some schools do snacks, and that seems to be a calmer time during the day. But after recess, after lunch, typically we have 2 short recesses, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, as well as a afternoon, like a lunch recess. So it's actually 3 recesses that most of our schools take: a morning, a lunch, and an afternoon. After those recess times tends to be a time where the kids come in, they get a drink of water, they may put their head down, they may do quiet reading. It's a time to calm and take a break, take a rest. But as far as naps, most likely the classrooms will not be napping. Now, sometimes kids didn't sleep well the night before, or maybe they're not feeling that well. There's a variety of reasons. Sometimes I'll go into a kindergarten classroom and there will be a child that is in the a part of the room where maybe there's a bean bag and they are taking a little rest. That's not something that typically happens, but our kindergarten teachers are very responsive to the needs of kids. And so if a child is exhausted, that might be something that day that a child does, and that is accepted. But as far as nap time for everybody at a certain time every single day, that's not an option that our kindergarten classrooms offer. However, I do think if your child's used to a regular nap, you may want to try to get them used to not taking a nap as frequently on a regular basis, so that they are ready for that when school starts. That was a really great question. Other questions? Okay. So at home, we've already talked about several ideas and other things that you can do. You can read with your child, but reading is one part. You can also tell stories. Our family loves to tell stories, and especially of like family stories, things that were meaningful to your family. It could be a made up story. You could do storytelling or story acting, or it can be a real thing that happened. So there's lots of ways for you to interact with your child. It could be talking with your child, introducing new words with your child as you're driving or on the bus or walking. You can look to see what are you noticing and talking about those things. So that is really, really important. Reading, writing, when you're writing a grocery list or a note, it's important for your child to see these behaviors as well. And you'll see that if your child sees you writing a grocery list, they may want to write a grocery list as well. And it's okay if you can't read that list, but all those practices of writing, maybe they have lost a tooth and they're writing to the tooth fairy. And even if it looks like scribbles, it means something to them. And it is an important process of becoming a writer. And so allowing them to write, whether it's writing with bubbles in the bath or writing chalk on the sidewalk or shaving cream, or, there's lots of different ways and materials that you can write. It doesn't just have to be with a pen or a marker or pencil. So giving opportunities, you can even write with your finger on a steamy mirror, or I see kids doing that when they're driving, on the window. And so all of those opportunities are valuable. And drawing is also part of writing. And so if your child is in that phase where they are scribbling or they are drawing pictures, wherever they're at, we value that process. And they should be playing. No matter what, an active, playful child is a happy child who is learning. And so anytime that they get the opportunity to play at home, inside, outside, those are quality opportunities to prepare your child for kindergarten. Okay. stop there for a second and see if you have any questions. This is a book that is on YouTube. And so YouTube can be a wonderful resource for families. If you have a phone or an iPad or something like that, one thing we would kind of recommend is that you watch prior to having your child, just kind of scroll, because you never know what you're going to get. And sometimes the ads are not appropriate. But this is an example of a teacher that did a read aloud for their class while we were going through the pandemic. And so there's lots of opportunities where teachers are reading books, or maybe a parent has chosen a book, and they're in multiple languages. So you can search YouTube for these videos. And as your child is listening to the story being read out loud, you can pause it. You can ask questions. You can, at the end, go back and ask what they remembered about a certain part. So anytime that you can really have a shared experience and then talk to your child about that is wonderful. So we're going to take just a minute to listen to this teacher read this book, Miss Bindergarten Gets Ready for Kindergarten. And I believe that this can be put into the chat. So if you want to go through this experience with your child, you may. And at the very end, I'm going to ask you to unmute and just talk about what are some of the things after watching this with your child, if you choose to watch it with your child, what are some things that you may ask your child? So I'll push play, and I actually have to stop sharing really quick so that I can make sure and share. I have to
And
share.
I'm sorry, Casey, right before we start, can we have another question answered?
Yes.
They're asking if there is a way or a list of educational games or apps that can be provided to enhance learning, or recommendations.
Yes. I believe that, and you tell me, but I think that Family School Partnerships provides a really great resource and a list of apps and games and fun stuff that is great for kids. Do you recall that resource?
I will look at that page right now, and then I will post it on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have
And,
some videos and information that may be helpful.
absolutely. And if not, I can point us in some directions and we could create something to later send out. But some of the resources I'm going to show you in just a minute come from PBS Kids, which is great. There's a few more that I can share with you for sure. And actually on that online registration page at the very end, there were some links there. They may not be apps or websites, so I want to make sure and get you a good one. But give us a few minutes, and I think we have some things we can share.
I just posted the PBS website, and I'm gonna post right now the other one for Family School Partnership.
Okay, and I will go ahead and share my screen one more time with this video, and you should be able to hear it. So if you cannot, please let me know and we'll stop it. Remember, at the end, we're gonna unmute or in the chat, put some things that we could talk to our child about with this book.
It's the first day of kindergarten, and Miss Bindergarten has to get the classroom ready for her 26 new students. Once that's done, the fun can begin.
Rise and shine, rise and shine.
Miss Bindergarten gets ready for kindergarten. Joseph Slate, illustrated by Ashley Wolf. It is the first day of kindergarten, and oh,
Pretty bird loves the first day.
Adam Krupp wakes up. Brenda Heap brushes her teeth. Christopher Beaker finds his sneaker.
There it is.
Miss Bindergarten gets ready for kindergarten.
Hurrah! So much to do, so much to do.
Danny Hess rushes to dress. Emily Moko cools her cocoa. Fran Lister kisses her sister. Miss Bindergarten gets ready for kindergarten.
Such a silly bird.
Gwen McGunney packs her bunny. Henry Fetter fights his sweater.
Why do I wear this?
Ian Lowe says,
I won't go.
Miss Bindergarten gets ready for kindergarten.
My pretty flower, my pretty flower.
Jessie Syke pedals her bike. Kiki Wong hops along. Lenny Loom says, vroom. Miss Bindergarten gets ready for kindergarten.
P for parrot, P for parrot.
Maddie Lindo looks out the window. Noah Bond climbs right on.
Watch your step.
Ophelia Nye hugs goodbye. Miss Bindergarten gets ready for kindergarten.
Oh my, 18 inches.
Patricia Packer sneaks a cracker. Quentin Wend high-fives his friend. Raffi Mack high-fives back. Sarah Von Hoff is the first one off. Miss Bindergarten is almost ready for kindergarten.
Don't make a mess.
Tommy Tuttle jumps a puddle. Ursula Crew ties her shoe. Vicky Denzel bites her pencil. Now Miss Bindergarten is all ready for kindergarten. Wanda Chin marches in. Xavier Rowe yells,
Hello.
Yolanda Pound looks around. Zach Blair finds his chair.
Good morning, kindergarten.
Says Miss Bindergarten. And oh, the fun's begun.
Pretty bird says the end. The end. Pretty bird says the end.
Thank you, Casey. I would like to mention that I put on the chat some information and links to get resources and information on more activities and videos related to kindergarten. There is a long link that will take you directly to the video library for kindergarten, but also you can visit our website www.wcsdparentu.com, and then you can navigate our website and you will find a lot of resources and information.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. I knew we had it, so I'm glad you were able to find it. So we're going to pause for just a second, and if you feel comfortable unmuting and telling us something that you could talk to your child about with this book, the one that we just listened to, that would be great. You can also use the chat feature. And I will start. I know that when my parents took care of her for preschool. And so I know when she was getting ready to go to school, she was really nervous. She was used to being with grandma and grandpa all the time. And so this book would have been a really good one for her to say, it's okay to get nervous, and that emotion is acceptable and it's normal. And I would give her some tools for how to, when she does get nervous, can we breathe deep? Can we take 3 deep breaths? Can we, different strategies to calm your nerves? And so that would be one way that I would have used the book. Is there another way?
The alphabet. So my son, he was an early Head Start and pre-K. He should have been in kindergarten this year, so he just got that extra year to further his learning and understand the alphabet. So like the alphabet has the names for each animal. So like, for example, P for parrot, and just getting him to understand what each letter stands for. Like yesterday, him and his dad were going with the flashcards, and was for monkey, or like I told him M is for mommy. And
Yes.
so just, and he likes Peppa Pig, so like P for Peppa Pig, and that's why her name is Peppa Pig too, because it stands for with the P.
Yep, I love that. Anytime you can connect your child to their name or a friend's name, it's going
Yeah.
to be so much more meaningful and powerful. Or Peppa Pig's name.
Yeah.
And typically at the beginning of kindergarten, kids are hearing the first sound in a word, like Peppa is, starts with a P. But and the very beginning sound is typically where they start. And then they do hear the ending sound later on, and the
Yeah,
middle
like
sound.
his name
Yeah.
is Elias, and he knows that it's with an
Yeah.
E. So yesterday with the flashcards, his dad showed him what letter is this. He's like, E for Elias, my name, or for elephant. And he guessed the elephant was on the back of the card, and we didn't know that, but he got really excited, and yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. That's great. Yep. And if they go beyond their first letter of their name, you can teach them all the letters in their name, and you can take those letters and maybe write them on, if you got a packet, you could write them on an index card or a sticky note and have them mix them up and put them in order and tell you the name of the letter, of the letters that are in their name. So that is a fantastic thing that you could do after reading or hearing that story. You also, if you picked up a packet, you may have this little form. It says kindergarten readiness, and it gives you a few things that you can work on. We've talked about many of these things, but something is in there is I can say the letters in my name right here. And so it gives you several ideas, just like the one that you shared. So thank you. And the other thing that I haven't pointed out, but if you picked up a packet, you received a very bright yellow and a bright blue. They look like this. So one is for mathematics and one is for English language arts, which is reading, writing, speaking and listening, vocabulary, those things. And it will tell you the standard across the grade levels. So it has kindergarten and beyond for what your child's going to be learning. So these are, if you have them, I would encourage you to open them up and see what your kindergartner is going to be learning in kindergarten. We've talked a lot about it, but that's one more little piece that you have there. All right, I'll go back to sharing, let's see, to sharing my screen, and I will finish us up here. I want to give you a math idea as well. And I did see that there was a question on immunization records and where to get those. So at the very end of that, I will definitely make sure, or even if anyone wants to put the link directly to get your immunization record, there is a link and you can put your name and you can bring it right up. So here is the counting and numbers, just one math example, excuse me, sorry about that. So if you picked up a packet, you may have these cards and you can write numbers on these cards. So everyone that picked up a packet has a marker, but you can do it with anything at home. So a sticky note, anything that you have, and you can write the numbers on your card like this. And you would write them 1, 2, 3, and a different number on a different card. So I would write 3 on a different card and all the way from 1 to 20. And then you can take turns identifying the number, like what is this number? And can you count while you're folding laundry? Can you count 3 socks for me? Or this is how many people we have in our family. Count 3 forks and put them out for dinner. And so just one way, if you have these number cards, that you can take turns learning those numbers, learning how to count those numbers, identifying this is a number and the name for this. The other thing is you can put dots on here. So if the number is 3, you could put 3 dots and they can count 2, 3, and touch 1 dot every time they do that. What's easier than dots though is if they actually have materials. So let's say that you have pennies and you have a like a can, and they are counting the pennies. One thing I love is when you count and you drop a penny into a can or something metal, it makes a noise. And so that helps a child to count and not over count. Because a lot of times kids, if it's on a piece of paper like this, then they can't move it and they don't know if they've already counted it and they count some dots twice. But if they're actually taking a physical penny and dropping it into a can and they hear a noise with that, it can help them to count correctly. So 1, 2, or even if they are getting 20 Cheerios out for snack and they're putting them in a baggie, it won't make a sound, but there's this action of moving and organizing the Cheerios in a way that they are counting them only one time. So that's just a little trick that might be helpful. We have a really fun website I want to share with you, and let me pull it up. It is this website right here. And I believe that this is already in the chat, but it's PBS Kids Ready to Learn. And this is virtual pre-K. I'm going to show you this almost 3-minute video, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. But this is a great way to support your child with numbers and counting. So here we go. And I hope you can hear it. And if you can't, let me know. Can you hear that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
To help her students explore numbers and counting, Xiomara Sanchez started with a familiar story about a girl with a very long name.
We read a book, Chrysanthemos, in Spanish because I have a dual language program. So we discuss the book and I include the math language about larger, smaller, few letters, more letters. Then I gave every student a clipboard with 10 post-it notes, one for every letter of Chrysanthemos' name, so they can compare their name with Chrysanthemos. Every child have to write every letter of their name on the piece of paper. And then they have to go to the board and place it over there. We always start with their name because it's meaningful to them. For example, I say, my name is Mrs. Sanchez. Sanchez. Oh, my name has 7 letters. And then I can ask, I wonder how many letters your name have. And they have to do the same thing. While I was at the board with the students, they have to tell me the name of the letters and the sounds. R. And then we count every letter to see how many, and we compare with the other friends or with Crisantemo. El nombre de Susana es más largo, más corto o igual al de Camera. Iguales. Iguales. In math wise, they were counting one on one. Todos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Also, they were able to compare their name with others and with Chrysanthemos and see which name was longer, which one had fewer letters, or the same. We also have another activity with a small group where they have to make a name tower using Unifix cubes, and they love playing with that. And I explained to them, you're gonna use the letters of your name to build your tower. Vamos a usar un cubito por cada letra de su nombre. And we start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. ¿Alguien me enseña el número 7 aquí? 7. It was nice they were able to use the same kind of things of comparing their name with somebody else to add more math language. They can say, okay, this is taller, this is shorter, and these are the same. Que la torre es más alta. El nombre de Kaylee. Muy bien.
Okay, so those were just a few of the ideas for math, but there's so many possibilities. Counting steps, counting if you're going up a stairs or down the stairs. Again, like you're counting out snacks. So many different ways. Counting is such a critical skill for kindergarten, so I encourage you to practice those at home. And we have one more last idea that I would love to share. And then let me pull that over. There we go. All right. So
just really quick. Also, sorry, just really quick. They're asking about where can they get the packets if they don't have one.
Great.
I
Lead Head Start, is that right?
It's gonna be Head Start headquarters, the main office. That's on 8th Street, close to Sutro. So I just put the address right there.
Perfect.
They should have some packages. In case they don't have any more, we can drop off more. Just let us know. You can let them know that you want some packages and we can go there and drop them off. But they should have some right now.
And the last piece I was going to share with you before we finish up, I know we have just a couple minutes. If you picked up a packet, you have a journal that you can use for writing. And there were also some stickers. And so you can take these stickers and with your child, they can write their name on the front. They can use these stickers to decorate it. But inside is paper that they can use to write. But plain paper, sticky notes, a scratch paper, anything is wonderful. It doesn't even have to be paper, like we talked about windows. But the idea is to really promote writing with your child, whether it's drawing pictures. Some kids are in that stage where they are scribbling, and that's okay too. That is writing for them and for their age. And so if they're not necessarily writing words or writing the correct sound with the word they're writing, that is okay. And then the last part is we've answered a lot of questions, but I want to give you time to do our survey at the end. So on the left side, there's an English survey here. So if you prefer to take the survey in English, you may do that on the left side. There's one in Spanish on the right side. So if you'll take a minute to do that. And also there is a link. If you prefer to do the survey through a link, we can put that in the chat.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Okay, great. And then as you're doing that, I want to take this time to say thank you. That was a really long time that we spent together, and I appreciate all of the interaction, your questions, your excitement for your child. We are excited to have your child in Washoe County School District, and if there's anything that I can do to make this process better or to make the process easier on you, your family, your child, please reach out. You have my email and I'm here to help you. I will stay on though if you have questions, and I'm happy to answer those. And I'm happy also if there still is a question about immunization, if you want to unmute or put it in the chat, I can help go through that process as well. But thank you for your time today. I appreciate you, and Washoe County welcomes you.